Okay, so it looks like the recording's working. Hi, this is Kevin Sutter, and this is the MicroProfile live hangout for, what's the date? February 19th. And let's see, I guess I posted a link to the meeting minutes in the chat, and I will try to share that as well. Okay, so is that visible?
No, it needs to be much bigger.
Much bigger, so. Is that better? I can't see what everyone else is seeing, so I'm not sure.
It is a little bit better now.
Okay, so it looks like we're getting quite a few people. I think I heard Emily, or not Emily, Amelia mention that everybody is responsible to help out with keeping track of the minutes. So it's a Google Doc, and everyone can enter their own attendance and help keep track of the discussion as we go forward.
Yeah,
so,
and it would be helpful because Kevin has a few topics. When he's talking, we should be writing and helping. There is no restrictions on the minutes for those that are new in this call today.
Correct. Okay, so Amelia, I kind of ducked in ahead of your items there. I just wanted to do a quick update on the 2.2 release.
Your topic is the most important. Let's go.
Yeah. So for those of you that weren't aware, last week we did release MicroProfile 2.2. It had updates to 4 different specifications within the platform. And
yay!
Yay! Oh, was that Heiko?
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of weird that I can understand the voice just from that little hey. Okay, so that was done last week. We got the the announcement out. I saw people were tweeting about it. I saw blogs about it, and so that was all very good. So thank you very much for your help with that. Now the next thing, I'm not going to get into detail on this one, but the next release in June will be a breaking change release. So it's going to be MicroProfile 3.0. And I know there's a couple of items that are queued up. I think config and metrics are 2 of them, and possibly health check might have a breaking API change. So we've got a few of them that are queued up. And I'm not going to get into the status of all of those right now, but that's what we'll be driving into those in future meetings.
So I kind of interested, since Antoine is here today. Antoine, do you think hashtag 3.0 will make to the MicroProfile 3.0 release?
Yeah, it will.
Oh, cool. Excellent. And the other thing is, Kevin, maybe we should also discuss the reactive stream operators. Since it's gone through the standalone release, maybe we should discuss whether we could include it to 3.0 release.
Yeah, so is anybody on to speak to that? I don't see James. Because I don't know whether or not they've, the idea of having it separate was to try to get feedback and find out, okay, is this first release, is it, I'll just use the term sufficient for a platform release, or does more work need to be done? So that's kind of the reason for having it go separate before it becomes part of the platform.
Yes. Isn't that a thread? And maybe we need to add James to the minutes and say, task him with an update. He has missed a few of these calls already.
Yeah, I did hook up with Marcus last week, but he was at our Think conference, but James wasn't.
Yeah. So I had a call. We had a call on a reactive stream call today, a Hangout call. At the moment, we are talking about reactive messaging. I mean, haven't after the operators has been released, there's not much going on. So mainly, I think is the feedback. Maybe it's some feedback from the implementers. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, yeah, and Emily, you're correct. One thing is that some of the feedback from the thread, if I read correctly, is that we shouldn't make reactive as a requirement, right? So, like my idea will be to still keep it like all other projects, like their own thing, right? You can implement it or not, right? Once we make it a requirement, we have issues that will, make the coder or the user consider, oh, I need to know about this, I need to do that. So it's just not scalable. That is my feedback based on the thread and also on usability and adaptability. That is all we need to do and push for MicroProfile.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that whole, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you go.
Well, I just, that discussion of what, how big are we going to get with MicroProfile?
Yeah.
And, do we start discussing optional aspects of it? And I know we have separate threads going on that. I don't know how active they've been. Because of our conference last week, I've been kind of out of the loop, so I haven't been paying attention.
Your picks were amazing, Kevin, so catch up. It's
okay. Good. So, but you're absolutely right. Well, both of you, Emily and Amelia. I mean, we got to figure out whether or not these other specifications, and I know we're kind of picking on reactive right now, but there's also ones with, the LRA support. There's the things coming down the pike with the GraphQL. And, are we going to continue to just to add them to the platform spec?
We shouldn't. If we do it for one, we have to do it for all, and it's not scalable. Again, adaptability is sacrificed, and that is exactly what MicroProfile has done well in the beginning. And we shouldn't be we should be ruthless when saying no, and this is why. But keeping it there, on the sides, as when someone eats a steak, they can decide if they want more salt or more stuff added to it. It's just exactly the reason MicroProfile exists in multiple projects.
Also, it depends. I mean, we need to look at the spec individually. And for the reactive stream operators, I think the most implementers all for it. And the other thing is closer to the reactive stream operators will be a concurrency. I think the community is all for it. For LRA, there's a kind of split opinions. Maybe it's like LRA might be the, as mentioned by Mark later, maybe that one can go to the a standalone or separate thing. However, we need to limit the specs to stay as a standalone. I think Amelia pointed out, the more standalone we have, this will be not a good cohesive story about portability.
Correct.
I mean,
well, right now we have 8 APIs, right? And how many more is enough?
How many more to aid the microservices creation?
Right, for the umbrella.
We're not saying we will limit them. What we are saying is that they need to be a standalone. If they are required to run, then we have a problem. How about, Kevin, that we add this, and we need to add links to each project in these minutes? And I think the homework for us is to go into the forum, and check and see, this is the thread with that conversation is taking place. And as a homework for the next 2 weeks to do the background and see where we stand, because I myself, I am behind.
Yeah,
so.
And I mean, and I know that this is a passionate item that we're not going to get through today. So
yeah, so there are like 4 threads or something. It's like super awesome, but we cannot do it today.
Yeah, I mean, we may need to define, but I may also be missing some stuff here. Something like the Jakarta EE site has done, where they say, okay, there is the required components and the optional ones, but a spec version needs to, or that something is a spec, it needs to have at least one full implementation to prove that you can have all these pieces together. So suppose we make reactive streams optional, and then later figure out that if you include that something else breaks, whatever. I make it up, health check breaks because of reactive streams. But no one tested them together, then we have a problem.
Yeah. Matt, Matt from Community is here. You are typing. Please speak up. We're not reading the minutes. What did you say? Or what you were saying via minutes?
Yeah, hi. I just think in reactive modules in Cumulus EE, and maybe if you just want to have a look as a starting point for the new specs for the MicroProfile 3.0.
Did anyone hear Matt?
Could you hear me? Yeah. I'm sorry, something is breaking up a little bit. I was typing.
So you were saying you share it. You know what you're saying? Whatever you're saying, type it in the minutes, and like that we can see it. You're saying you're saying about an example, correct? That needs to be looked at, maybe for.
I'm saying that we in our Cumulus EE framework we already have support for event streaming and reactive. So if you want to have a look, yeah, as you were discussing this for the MicroProfile 3.0.
So, I think Martis and as like we have the MicroProfile reactive operators, it might be maybe a good idea for you to take at the reactive stream operators to see whether Cumulus EE can implement it. And at the moment, like the Red Hat, I think the Sontail and Open Liberty are experimenting the implementation, etc. I think it's Sontail already implemented. Is also James implemented in a zero dependency module. It would be good to hear some feedback from you. I think this is great to share. I mean, different opinions and etc.
Matthias, have you been participated in the subgroup that is tackling this specification for reactive streams and messaging?
Actually, no, we haven't, but we will have a look. Yeah, we will have a look on it in our own way, but we will have a look at what.
Yeah. So we meet up on. So is get in touch. Also, there's a Gitter chat room. It will be good because you all already explored in this area. I think it's from an API perspective. If you take a look and to see how easily can be implemented or adapt rather in the Cumulus EE.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So, okay, Heiko, you were talking, and your feedback was awesome too. We need to look. Kevin, again, I said let's table this, add some links on each of the projects of the current tags to these minutes, and then we move forward because this is complex. And it's talking about the adaptability of MicroProfile, so it cannot be rushed. We need to do the homework.
Yeah, and while actually it kind of fits in with the last item as well, because there is an architecture call on Monday too.
Let's move it. Let's move, Kevin. Let's move this to the second topic. I saw the architecture call and I saw a thread come in, and I haven't even read it. So what's going on?
Well, there's we've been doing these. I think we've been trying to do it once a month, but it kind of dropped off a little bit. But we just try to get together to talk about meta items that are bigger than specific projects. And so this whole idea of whether we have optional aspects of the platform, And I think that's why John started that thread about, is MicroProfile getting too big, and do we have to, start managing it? And so that all feeds into some of the discussions that we would be having on the architecture call.
Mm-hmm.
I put a link to the
Yes,
calendar because everybody's, time zone is different. But if you look at that calendar, then you can actually, look at it for your particular time zone.
so let me get this right. Ken, you are driving this, and in 2019, there has been no architectural calls, correct?
Yeah, this is the first one for the year.
And this will be once a month. And we agreed last year to stop them because they were happening twice or every week on a Friday. I don't remember, but they were causing issues because stuff was decided there. And then this group here was not informed, and then but like we were losing tracing on how stuff was being decided in the call, correct? I am just giving the summary of 2018.
No, I don't think we ever agreed to stop the calls. We'd been having them every month or so, probably since June or May last year.
Mm-hmm. I attended two. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think there was some concern that the architecture call wasn't providing feedback to the larger group about what was being decided, but we certainly had copies of minutes and decisions and things like that were being recorded. So I think it's just a case of having to better broadcast at these meetings what's happened at a previous architecture call. But I'm pretty sure we've only ever had them at most once a month, and sometimes even once every 2 months.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so that was the advertisement for the call next Monday.
Mm-hmm. I will check the calendar, but maybe we will use Twitter to make sure that how many attendees on average can in that call?
Anywhere from 5 to 10 at the moment.
Okay.
When the poll I sent out a couple of weeks ago, we had I think 8 people say they were available at that time, which is why that time was chosen.
What time is that for PDT time? Sorry to bother you with this, but what time?
It's 12 p.m. Eastern, so PDT, I'm guessing that's 9.
Yes. Okay. So this is perfect. Let's do this.
Okay, have you created a calendar?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
It's out on the calendar.
Good.
Okay, so now I've kind of covered my items, and the next one, Amelia, you have something to do with the committer nomination and elections. Amelia, you're on mute.
Yes. Okay. So we MicroProfile committers, we're getting some questions internally here and there on how being a MicroProfile committer works. Some thought that becoming a committer is only for a specific project. Like, for instance, you became a committer for fault tolerance. You can only do stuff there, and you cannot nominate anyone else for any other project. So I do not know where we have this documented, because we're following the committer agreement for the Eclipse Foundation. And that means when you become a committer, you're a committer for the entire project. There are no discrimination or, you can help any project. And should you believe that someone else that you have seen worked on other projects should become a committer, you are entitled and encouraged to follow a nomination that will go into a vote. Kevin, are you okay to explain how the voting system works and what goes into it? I'm just clarifying the main questions that are saying, but I am only committed for this. I cannot do anything else for anything else. That's incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. You are most welcome to work on the branding side and like anything. Go ahead, Kevin, clarify it.
Yeah, that is correct. That was incorrect information if people thought that they were limited to a specific component. The MicroProfile, this actually gets back to the discussion as to whether or not, we're getting too big. But the MicroProfile project has many components underneath it with multiple repositories. And we are as a project, you are elected as a committer, and you can participate on any of the projects. Now, granted, if your expertise is in fault tolerance, I would guess that, the metrics team probably doesn't want you to go directly into their code and start modifying stuff without at least talking to them first. But you do have the power to do that, because once you're a committer on the MicroProfile project, you can get to any of our repositories.
Correct.
Okay. So
we have many people on this call who are not committers. Do you have questions for those that are committers and the MicroProfile project?
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
let me explain just a little bit more about how, to become a committer. When we first started the project, we were pretty loose. I mean, we wanted more participation, and we were nominating people right and left to try to get critical mass. Now, when someone gets nominated as a committer, the person that's nominating them should indicate the activities that they have been involved with, and it could be things for writing blogs, writing test cases, updating documentation, writing code, participating in the spec. But there should be examples of how this person has participated. And because then that will help everybody when they're doing their voting. If we've never heard of that person, then we can kind of go out and look and say, oh, he's had, 20 commits, or he's been writing these test cases, and, and here's his contribution. Just I said his. I didn't mean just his. Their contributions.
I was going to catch you on that. I was like, what?
Yep.
Kevin, is there any place in the Git where we have written about how to become a committer? Because this is something that likely we can add into the website under projects and say, the steps. Not only do you have to show up, but you also have to become a constant, right? We don't have limitations. There are no parameters on the Eclipse committer on how to become one. It's about the community and the discipline on acknowledging those that helped. But I believe that we benefit from expanding and writing something small, maybe one page, and putting it into the project side of, what do you think about this? Everyone here, and do you have questions? Help them with the conversation here.
Yeah, I have one. Do I have to be an Eclipse committer to become a MicroProfile committer?
No.
No. You need to sign the agreement you need to become a member of Eclipse first.
I am, yes.
Without a membership, you cannot be a committer, right?
Yeah.
I think, can I just jump in to say something? I think it's for the ones who are not committer, feel free to do PRs. The other thing is, I have been nominating quite a few committers, in the past and then recently. So basically, depending on who you work with. For example, if you work, I'm leading like fault tolerance or config, and also to service map. And if you do the PRs, for example, on the config and fault tolerance, this is just an example. And the people in that worker group will notice your contribution. Obviously, you join their discussion, etc. Your contribution will not be ignored, and you will, if you have done few pull requests and then participate for the weekly discussions, and then your contribution will be recognized, and people will nominate you for the committer. So I think we need to pass a message encourage people to do the PRs and contribute. However, I think for the existing committers, you need to make sure acknowledge people and then trying to grow the community.
So Emily, I wanna say something here. Mark, you're here, dude. Can you say what you were saying? Because I was going to say the same thing, but go for it.
Yeah, so MicroProfile is a community, so there is no lead in any project. There are people who kind of do a little bit more, others do a little bit kind of just review and so on, which is also important, or write documents, and all the parts are important, but there is no specified lead. It's just we're all working together as a group, and there's really a community effort, and not just it's not organized like a company where you have one boss and the others are following.
Yes.
So this was line probably getting wrong.
Yes, so Mark is correct. One of the reasons why we brought this topic about becoming a committer is because the word lead is coming into too many of the technical calls, and it's confusing the hell out of everyone else because they believe they need to stand behind that person to be told what to do. And the feedback is, and it needs to be stated during those calls that we are part of, you know, if you are technical or not, is that we need people beside us, not behind us. It is not that the title of being a committer makes you much more enhanced to do so. It is that you are a facilitator. You're a steward. You're like, you know, the word lead needs to be dropped from those technical calls because we're having the issue of, oh, I cannot even bring this into the table because I'm not the lead. So we have this thing about being too upfront. And how do we fix this? Because now we have people confused not only by how we have not traced or created the guidelines to say, hey, you are important. What you do even with a blog is important. But how our voice and the lead continues to come up, will continue. Can we agree as a community to not use the lead?
Well, I don't think this is, or I don't perceive the situation as this. I mean, I like myself talking about lead, but this does not mean that no one else can speak up or can't have a good idea or anything. This is something that, at least in the Red Hat projects, is a pretty standard thing that everyone can speak up and have good ideas and good contributions, even if what Mark and you were saying is technically correct. With the whole committer nomination discussion, what I'm a little bit missing in the calls that I'm on, so mostly metrics and service mesh, is actually the base of people on the call at all that are contributing at all, which could then be elected to be committers. So I think having good contributors, I mean, when you have a committer, you also have the duty to, let's say, review pull requests and merge them, while if you are not, you can only open them and leave them. So I'm not complaining about being a committer, but so you do not have to be a committer to be a good member of the MicroProfile community, a good and productive and okay, I'm missing the word.
Contributor.
A recognized contributor to this whole effort.
Okay.
It's not that you can only start working when you are a committer.
Correct. So this is exactly where we're talking about the committers and what it means and what is the difference with committer and contributor. So you nailed it, Heiko. Last time or a month ago you said, but there is no one joining these calls. So let me throw Alberto, the Ecuadorian here, and Alberto, you might want to become a committer in the future. What's going on and what do you say about us talking about this topic when you are not a committer? How do you feel entitled and able to, have you felt entitled and able to help and what's going on?
It's good to know where we can find the place to all the answers of these questions, because many people ask about how to contribute and how to be a committer or maybe a contributor. That is maybe the same that I understand now that is a community effort. So we need people from the community to join us and work together in the project for documentation of code. But if we don't provide a place that is visible for everybody to understand how you can become, how you can start, it's going to be difficult that more people join to the MicroProfile community.
So it's going to be difficult. Can you expand in that section, Alberto? I will call you Beto here, just so let's do it. What do you think? Can you expand on what you see an issue with this part? Because we want more coders to jump in, not start from zero, but jump faster into using MicroProfile in their daily work, right?
Maybe we can start putting in the page how you can become a contributor and committer. and also start to work in the social network to provide links that they are visible to everybody to understand how to become. And in the last time I followed the project, I followed the documents on the discussions of the threads of everything, but it's difficult to understand how I can get involved in one specific task. So it's also maybe you can start to share a document where it's an open task that some people can take it.
Okay.
A way to provide the people tasks that they can start and share and work in the community to help in the MicroProfile community.
Kevin.
So it would be easy to add that to the README of the Git repo, for example.
Who is talking right now?
Oh, it's Edwin.
Cesar, yeah. Okay, so Alberto said something. And Kevin, I think we have talked about it in previous calls. How do we enable others to jump and help or start helping? We said early this year that we need to go back to using Git. When MicroProfile started, we used Git for everything, including branding. Branding has been added. Before this call last night, I went in and created the 4 minimum projects that are always busy. And that will enable, currently in the branding side, only Cesar and I are the committers, so we can send issues and start the tracing for all marketing tasks. But the thing is, you nailed it. How do we, the group, the people involved, the 44, currently I think there are 44 committers of MicroProfile that can go into the Git and write the issues. Everyone else, every contributor can write PRs. So not even that is clear. And if you wanted after this call, Kevin, can you help here? Because this is exactly where we are.
Yeah, but I don't know that it isn't clear. I mean, I would assume, and if this isn't valid, then, you know, correct me, but I would assume everyone who is participating understands Git. And Git has the ability to file issues, and that's where we keep track of most of our work. So,
yes.
You know, and so, I know some projects or some components identify some of the issues as help wanted. Now, maybe we can get better at that to identify the easier ones to get started. And those are the ones that people could pick up. You know, so maybe we can emphasize that more often. But, you know, as far as documenting what work or tasks we have to do, I think we're using Git quite well in that regard.
Yes.
Like, so, yeah, I think, I agree with you, Kevin. I think is if people want to get involved in any spec, I think the first thing they should do is talk to the group, worker group, and then is like join the weekly discussion, and then they will find out which issues they are working on and which issues they want help. So in this case, it's much more like connected in the community, not okay, you look at the issue and work in isolation. And then you don't get the help. You don't. I mean, it's not going well if you don't talk to people.
Correct.
The good thing is just there's a lot of channels like a Git chat on a weekly course. Yeah, and then comment on the PR on the issues and etc.
Mm-hmm. So
is it maybe
so I will create, sorry to interrupt, the page for microprofile.io where we have contributors at the high level item to replace that by contributing, describing some of these things and then also linking the current contributors from it, so that we have a start page for that. I think that may help some people, and we can link to this then from other places as well.
So Heiko, you're talking about doing something like a tab on the projects, and just like we did for the blog, and say, bring it to the Git and say how you can become involved. Let's do that. I think.
Yeah, so really have a page directly on MicroProfile.io that can then link out to other things, but which explains all that we have been talking about right now.
Okay, so who wants to take the task and start in that draft?
I will start that, but I need helps to put that on the site later on. But I will start writing a document that we can put on there.
Okay, can you write it? It needs to be written in a project. We have the marketing project. Let's do it under marketing as a new project. And if you do it there, we can help you.
Yeah, I can also just start a Google Doc and then you when it's finished, someone just puts it in place. I mean,
sounds great.
Heiko, why don't you create a wiki? Like in a MicroProfile, in a wiki, because the wiki is a place we document so many things.
Actually, I want it really on MicroProfile IO, directly on the front page. When you hit the front page, that it's directly visible.
Project. It needs to be.
How do I contribute?
It needs to be under.
Yes.
It needs to be under projects, and it needs to follow the protocol as the blog. That would be my recommendation. So the main idea was to bring the conversation, answer some questions, get Kevin and John and everyone else a take on this, and then make these sites and other projects better by having the tab that says become involved. And then that will give you at least the bare minimum of a QA on, what to do, how to do it, and just jump on it without.
Yes.
Can I make another suggestion?
Yeah, Philip.
How about in the README of every project, have the details of the weekly meeting? Because at the moment, if you don't have a calendar, you don't know when these guys meet. If I go to a project like MicroProfile Health as an example, and it says we are meeting weekly at Thursdays, join us if you want to contribute. For me, the first point is that meeting. Start understanding what they're talking about, what is the issues, and then get involved. But it needs to be more visible when that meeting is.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have at the top of the document, the minutes document that you're all watching right now, you're all seeing on your screens. We used to have a table with all that information in the past. I don't know what happened to the table. It got deleted.
But even the meeting minutes should be in the reading.
So Philip, you're correct. But Philip, I think, Cesar, that is correct. We will bring it back. I think it just got deleted by mistake. We can bring it back because that was an idea that we said is better, much more educational. But Philip, you're correct. You're saying, I'm going to share in here after this call the minutes. There is a skeleton for MicroProfile IO, the site, and things. And the main idea is to adjust how the project page, adjust that page so that it feeds to everyone that is a coder that wants to help. We have not ever adjusted that page. That includes bringing each project, sharing the calendar by that project, sharing the minutes, having that page be the truth of MicroProfile as a coder, as a blogger, is the source of truth. So this will require everyone's help. The skeleton will be shared in this document, and everyone will have access to comments because it's housed under the MicroProfile branding side. But everyone, I can make it even public. We don't care. And then you can go in there and say things that as a coder, as a blogger, you would like to see in that page. That it tells you more.
Amelia, did those project pages, they didn't get revamped when we moved to WordPress, right?
Never.
So that one actually, I've had a little bit of a problem with those because it's all automated and it was defined content. So if you have the appropriate tags out in your, I can't remember if it was a YAML file or XML file or something in your project, then it would pull stuff over. But one point I was trying to get that updated to do something different, and I could never find anybody that knew how to get that updated.
And Kevin, this is the thing. Let's fix the project page. Committer and becoming a committer and contributor is all about that page being super unclear. So I am saying we were going to bring, the shared skeleton was created in 2018, but we never tackle it because we need the technical side to say, what will you like to see? I have written there the calendars, the minutes, the contributors, who is involved and all these things, but we need much more. It needs to be much more beefy to know what can you do? Who can you call to help you make it feedable, right? Because it cannot have, currently things are not working and that page doesn't get updated. So this is someone saying, let's fix that. And this is part of clarifying how to become a committer. While you're a contributor, you can follow PRs, you can talk to these people. You see, it's all about that page also. This is great. Who else will I throw in under the bus to talk about that page? Ruan, you are from Rio, South Java. You are here. Can you talk today? Well, Harry, you are here. What's going on with you? Tell us. And you're in the agenda, so.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
This is the first time I'm here, but I have watched some. Yeah, I started to write an ebook, and I emailed Amelia about that and wanted some feedback about if it's a good idea. And she put it on the forum, and maybe, I don't know if it's a lot of code. It needs some more to finish, but I wanted to see if everybody thinks this is a good idea to continue to work on the ebook. It's 46 pages long. I just want, I thought this is my way of contributing back to the community.
Awesome. Sounds good. Do you have it on GitHub, or is it something you are writing by yourself?
No, Amelia put it on the Google
Oh yeah,
Drive.
I'm seeing now the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. We're gonna take a look.
Hi guys.
Who is talking?
Hi.
Yeah.
Tell your name so that we know who is talking.
I'm your one.
Oh, brasileño. Finally, we can hear you.
My microphone is bad. And my English too. I have been contributing to MicroProfile. We're speaking about MicroProfile in conference and writing blog, posting in blog. In this week, I spoke about MicroProfile in a campus party. It's a big event of technology in Brazil. Okay. I'm sorry for my English. That's okay.
We hear you. So you're saying that just as Harry, you are also creating content and blogs for the Brazilian South Java that is using MicroProfile, and that you will. And you are already a contributor as Harry is in the WordPress. And what you want to know is that you are welcome to write more about, especially technical, about the issues and the roadblocks and the good things that you see while using MicroProfile, not only in your community, but also for your clients, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
in this year, I will write a book about Jakarta, and I will speak about MicroProfile too. I guess I will write about MicroProfile.
Okay, so there are many different topics. Let's not discuss. Let's bring them together. So Harry, you're saying you wrote a book, and the book is on the drive under the MicroProfile drive because it needs collaboration. And what you did before is you wrote a bunch of blogs about MicroProfile that are posted in MicroProfile blogs, many, like 6 or 7. And then from that, you decided to compile that data and make it an ebook. Currently, there are 48 pages. The design has not been created, and you wanted to see, even if it helps one person, can this be something that we are interested? And my answer was, let's send it to the forum, join a call, and ask. And I'm not going to answer it for everyone. I think it's important. Anyone else in here thinks that the ebook written by an individual with the MicroProfile, whomever wants to help, without committing, just go there, write out. If you write code, check it, test it, make sure that it's correct, because it's valuable to the project. Is there a veto on this, or can we move forward, enabling MicroProfile, Harry, to do this?
Okay, go ahead.
I think it is great. It's great to write this ebook. The only thing is how do you say your name, Harry?
You can say Harry, but
Harry.
It's Harry, but
Harry, yeah, Harry. So I think to make it more readable and etc. Do you have the example code? Do you have you put in quite a lot of POM, XML, and etc. I'm wondering, do you have a GitHub repo store your example?
not for the moment, but I will put it out there, and I have updated the ebook a little bit with some syntax highlighting and a little better fonts.
Would it be able to move to a ASCII doc type format in GitHub, and then it's easier to kind of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, like,
yeah,
what I know.
Sorry, I mean, I totally agree with Philip. I think Harry, maybe it's like, I think, yeah, you put in your GitHub, personal GitHub maybe, and with ASCII doc or Markdown version, much more easier. And also you can put the code example as app. So it's yeah, and then write a blog about it. So
yeah.
So,
and maybe also another remark, not that I don't like the implementation that he has used, but we should use it with all the implementations and not with one specific implementation.
Right.
Look at it. You're getting feedback, and what I noticed right now is that there are many versions of the document. Harry, go in there and delete all of them except the last one, and you can say B0, B1. It doesn't really matter. But if my lawyers will kill me, they will. How much do you want to be charged wasting my time with different versions? And I will tell you the same. Don't do it. If you see a different version, it is your job to clean it. And maybe if you cannot use Drive correctly, they just use Git, whatever it helps this team, especially those coders, destroy the document. You want the document to be destroyed, to be better, so that you don't spend a whole 2 years writing it when maybe you can have it implemented in 3 months, right?
Yeah. True.
Yeah. And Rua, this is the same for you. You want to write a book. I imagine it's an ebook. It's going to be in Jakarta with multiple projects. So you should follow the same advice here that Emily gave and a few others. It needs to be, if the code is not in Git, under the MicroProfile or under your private repo, you are not doing your job as writer, right? It needs to be all in the open, and the code needs to be in the Git. So are we okay to let these guys write up and see what they come up with, that we will be helping?
Sure. I think this is all really good. The one thing that is going through my head is, is this discussion becoming part of what should be the marketing call?
It should be, but this is the first time Harry was able to join the call, and he doesn't have the bandwidth to attend the two. And my priority was for him, because we sent the document to the forum a month ago, and he got no feedback. So I said, you need to first introduce yourself to the community, and that is the best way to come to this call. And then when you start doing that, you have questions, you join the marketing call, right? But first, he comes here and say hello to everyone. He has written 6-7 blogs on MicroProfile, yet he never joined this call. It's same, off.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
And the same with Ruan. I'm just enabling them to be here, speak for themselves, because no one is a secretary. If someone asks you a question and you are not enabling that person to speak for themselves, we have a problem, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Matt from Community, you had a topic about currently the work is being done about the ebook that is currently posted in MicroProfile.io, and the work is being done asynchronous asynchronous, like, is there anything else you would like on that topic to be discussed in this call? Cesar, maybe you can update us on that matter. We cannot hear Matt. Sorry guys, I cannot hear. Let's see.
So there's a comment from Alberto about translate to English. Actually, the other way around would be very valuable to have some of the content, MicroProfile IO, being translated into other languages to reach other contributors or interested parties that want to know more about MicroProfile and to lower the bar of entry if they can read to the homepage in whatever Spanish, Portuguese, whatever.
I know we have some blog posts in German too, so.
Yes. So Heiko.
The more languages, the better.
Yeah, so Heiko, it's not about translation, that cuts short. Now we are approving blogs in German, and if someone writes a blog, and it's not only about code, but just, you know, the Google Translate will go just really quickly before it gets approved. And we are, the website accepts all languages. It doesn't need to be only English. And I would love for us to do much better with the Spanish. We have a huge Java Armada in Latin America that is connected to the Spanish Armada. And Alberto, you're here. You're the chair of the JAC of Ecuador. It said, can you take this task to say that whomever is working in MicroProfile and wants to write a blog in their Portuguese, Spanish, they can, and they will be approved if it's, you know, if it follows the guidelines. Can you take that task and connect with all the JACs in Latin America and in Spain?
Of course, I'm going to explain them. And also what's saying that we just ran in the last January hack day with 7 Java user groups. And we already have this repo that I just put in the chat for you can check it, and we can also share it if it's okay with the lines and the guidelines that you said.
Was it helpful? We use that for the Jakarta, but was it helpful because it can be used for this project also?
Yes.
All right, so you have a task, write it there and say, this is my task. And then you can just, through the forum, educate us and see how we can, what can we expect? Because in the last call we did talk, and Kevin, when you were there, we did talk about having multiple blogs for the latest release, but it's really hard to request an individual to write a blog, even if they are so involved in the project, because no one has a 24/7 luxury time to be the dedicated ones. So how we spread the knowledge is so important, but it's not that we need to do it. It's that we need to find others to help us.
Yep.
So thanks for the task. Ownership.
Okay, so we are almost out of time, and Amelia, you had another item with the technical white paper.
Yeah, the other item is because we got a section added by Matt on things they have found out when their clients use MicroProfile. You know, Cumulitzi is one of the partners that has actual factual feedback. It's not a case study. It's that they are compiling, he has compiled a bunch of data, and we have gone through the first draft, and the document is open and everyone can see it. And with Lars, the 3 of us are working on making it less repetitive. And that is the last part of that technical document before it goes to design and it gets published, because everything else has been pretty much done. And the update was that there is about a page. We will cut it down, and Matt's audio doesn't work, but the document is looking really, really good, and it's soon to be published. We are just missing the final feedback on this matter, because if you haven't seen the document, please go into that and see, read, review, provide feedback. That is just one page. If you know, it's just like awareness of it.
Okay.
So Amelia, the link there is not leading anymore.
I just last night I created really quickly 4 projects under Git, and then if it's not correct, I will go and correct it.
Yeah, I think the items that you're putting in there, you're getting the links mixed up. The URLs are not pointing to the right location.
Long week is Tuesday, not confused. I'm sorry, I will go and clean all of it.
Okay, thank you.
I will clean all of it, don't worry. And first I wanted to say thank you to all of those of you that came to this call to say hello and say what you're talking about. Do your best to join these calls. Kevin, thank you so much for being super awesome, especially after that trip. You're like, oh, what's going on? But yeah.
Okay. Seemed like there was something else I was going to close with, but now I forgot it. So, okay. I think we're out of time, and thank you very much for all the participation, and I will be posting this as soon as it's done rendering. So thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Goodbye.